Alrighty, this is Tanya and
This is Jay. This is Revolution Radio doing our special debate coverage. The Democratic debates of 2019. The first night, round one, where we got to see the likes of Tim Ryan, Beto O'Rourke, Elizabeth Warren, Tulsi Gabbard, and a lot of people that I think were unknown
I'm
for
gonna
the
agree
mass
with you.
populace until today, and probably still are kind of unknown, to be honest. So, Tanya, what was your impression? Let's start off. I'll say, who do you think were the winners? Who do you think were the losers?
Um, honestly, I was kind of impressed, and I might regret it later, with Elizabeth Warren.
Why would you regret that later?
Because sometimes I feel like that everything is about Elizabeth Warren. Do you know what I mean?
I don't, honestly. I think I agree with you on the fact that she's definitely the front runner winner of tonight. And I thought it was interesting for me watching how she set the standard. And it was almost
Yeah.
like even the moderators, all the way down to the other candidates, were just like, it was almost like she was a teacher and they were her students. That's how I would say she just dwarfed everyone in that room.
I was I was impressed because I feel like as a front runner, a lot of the post show or the pre-show stuff that I saw was Elizabeth, Elizabeth, Elizabeth. And I get that. She is an amazing public speaker. She's earned a right to be there. Okay, but there are other candidates. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like they are all overshadowed by her. So I went in thinking, okay, I will not be impressed by Elizabeth Warren. I need to give the other candidates a chance. And I couldn't because I was just impressed by Elizabeth Warren. Now, on the flip side, I wanted to like Castro. I really did. I feel like he could be a strong candidate. I am impressed by his heritage. I get bored when he talks quietly. And a lot of the pre-show stuff will show him in front of a microphone and he just talks this quiet and I get bored by him. I'm sorry.
So if I got this down for you right now, you're saying
Elizabeth
Warren
Warren,
winner,
yes.
Castro was a loser.
I am not impressed like I thought I would be.
All right, so I'll just go down the line if this helps you, and then we'll go over my list and I'll explain my answers. So Klobuchar.
Okay. Really?
No, where do you think? Where you winner or loser?
I was. I feel like he was more centrist. I don't know. I mean, it sounded like he was kind of to me. It sounded like he was copying what Warren said, and then
Wait,
reiterating.
who are you referring to?
Klobuchar. I feel like when Warren would, or when he would respond to some questions, he would answer the same way Warren did. Does that make
Correct.
sense?
Well, but I said Amy Klobuchar.
Oh. Okay, sorry. No, I liked her.
What?
I did. I liked her. I thought, for not knowing anything about her, I kind of liked her.
So you would mark her down as a winner?
I kind of would, yeah. I had no idea who she was, which is probably one of the reasons, like, who the fuck are you talking about? Do you know what I mean? Because I had no idea who she was. She seemed intelligent. She was on point.
I am honestly shocked doing a current event, but somewhat political show that you've never heard of Amy Klobuchar.
I know. I'm sorry.
Okay, Tulsi Gabbard.
I do like the Tulsi. I thought she did good. I don't know. I was just completely blown away by Warren. I'm sorry. For
I
me,
mean,
Tulsi was okay. She was just okay.
really.
Yeah.
See, I have to disagree because Tulsi gave me the highlight of the night. I mean, she hit, Tim Ryan with logic so hard that he thought the Taliban committed 9/11. That moment when she was like, no, it was Al Qaeda who committed 9/11. Oh my God. Like, that's when I was like, Tim Ryan was doing so good. He was doing great. And then he had to go against Gabbard, and he just got his ass kicked. And I mean, he's talking about, in my opinion, he's one of the biggest losers because he was talking about how we just need to stay engaged in the Middle East, like, constantly. And her, anti-neocon rhetoric, which is a very wonderful place for her to be, and ultimately, as we kind of discussed, our imperialistic manner of causing problems overseas, and then that or abroad, if you will, and that inherently comes back to bite us in the ass. Tulsi was one of the only ones. In fact, unfortunately, even Elizabeth Warren didn't have that same, mentality. At least she never spoke it. And so that moment when she just crushed him, I mean, Ryan's done. Like, nobody, in my opinion, had a knockout blow like Gabbard did. I mean, that was the Mike Tyson from the mid to late 80s, just crushing him. He can't recover from that. You can't say,
No,
oh yeah,
he
I'm
can't.
running for president. By the way,
No,
I
you
thought the
can't.
Taliban committed 9/11. And yeah, I definitely agree about Warren. She 100%. I'm on board with that. Klobuchar for me was a loser.
Was
A
really?
strong loser. Well, my thing with her was this pro-capitalist, and not that being a capitalist is wrong, but it's the pro-corporate Democrat style to it. The not the I'm going to give you, and she even said it. She said the line that Donald Trump said about healthcare when she said, "Oh, I want everyone to have everything." Okay, but that's not anything. That's what that turns out to, is nothing. What did you think about Beto O'Rourke?
Well, I don't know. I'm still having slow issues here. I was trying to look for... Oh, no! That was weird,
Yeah?
sorry. See, it's still having issues. I was wanting to have... It was Julian Castro talk about how we should all be heartbroken and pissed off. Because I thought it was funny because it wasn't that he was attacking so much. He kind of was, though. Because Beto O'Rourke just kind of looked like a small little mouse there for a little while. And that's not who... Well, and on this, there's a picture I found where he just looks dumb. Like, come on. We already have a dumb president. We don't need another one. He didn't seem Beto-ish to me. Do you know what I mean?
See, in a manner of speaking, I think he actually, for me, he was 100% Beto. But it's just the public doesn't know Beto until they actually saw Beto. And now they're saying, oh. I love, one of my favorite tweets of the night is, I mean, me and a bunch of other people have been live tweeting and having fun with it. Kyle Kalinske, he tweeted, "Oh my God, homeboy is answering in Spanish just so he can avoid the answers."
Well, and maybe it was because, he was up against Ted Cruz that I thought, oh wow, he's so smart.
Mm-hmm.
But he was up against Ted Cruz, so yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, he did the best job at ducking and dodging every question. And there was even a point I thought it was great. The moderator said, well, I'll give you 30 seconds to answer the question. And you could hear him before he dove in. He said, well, the evening's still young.
Which was weird.
It's like everyone else wanted more time. When they went to the the audience for a question, they did the internet question.
Yeah.
And they said, they asked the question, and it was actually a really good question about should we intervene in a genocidal, situation with another country if it doesn't mess with the core premise of what's happening in America. Meaning, if another country is committing genocide on its own people, should we intervene, even if that country's action is not affecting us? I think it was actually a really good question. But when they said, Beto O'Rourke, what do you think? And it was just like, you could tell every other candidate they were just, slobbering at the bit. Like, yes, give me, I want it. And they called him, and he's like, oh no, no more. I can't do that. I can't just speak in generalities for 45 seconds until you say my time's done. I'm out of generalities to speak in. I think he was the biggest outside of Ryan, but Ryan didn't have very far to fall. Beto O'Rourke fell hard tonight.
What did you think of Booker saying that the Iran deal was a mistake?
So I understand what he was saying there, and that is that he wouldn't unilaterally agree to another president's deal. And I think I know why, and I think it's because you're going to have a bunch of smartasses like myself who come Friday or whenever I decide to get back on and do a show, they're going to go through the Iran deal. Mm-hmm. And they're going to say, oh, Burqa would have been for this, and this specifically says Saudi Arabia can, molest children. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why he said it that way, was he obviously didn't know 100% of the deal. And I actually think that was smart. Because, and even, Elizabeth Warren did the same thing with guns when basically they said, would you be in favor of this? And she, the federal government getting involved in taking guns, and she's like, no, my resources say that we need to study this, we need to find out what's going on. But even that admittance, without saying it, of saying, I don't really know enough, but I want to learn more about it, I think that's a very smart, reasonable answer. None of these candidates and no president we've ever had has known every, solution to every problem. And that ability to say, I don't know that answer, or I'm not familiar with that, but I will look into it. I think that's a fantastic answer. That's fine. I'd much rather have that than have Donald Trump, or we'll see it tonight with tomorrow night with Biden, or tonight with Beto, where they just kind of stumble through it and the American people get everything. We're doing the best for America, so liberty and justice for all. Like, yeah. You're not saying shit, buddy.
Okay, so that brings me to
But I do want to say though with Booker real quick. I have Booker down as a winner.
Do you
and
really?
Booker scares me.
No, I mean I can see that. He seems like easily triggered, and I hate to use that. But I feel like we have somebody that does that now. Do we really need and that's my biggest issue. Do you know what I mean? Do we really need another person who's thin-skinned and, well, don't call me a mental retard? Well, you kind of are.
I don't think we're ever going to have anyone at that level, as to where we're at now. But, and I understand a little bit what you're saying with Booker. I also think some of that is passion. But my issue with Booker is he had promised in 2012 that he was going to fight Big Pharma. And one of the things was to, legalize weed and give all these options. Well, then 2014, when he had the ability to vote on it, and I might be wrong by my years, by the way, but it was 2013 to 14, whatever. He voted against legalization of marijuana, and it was, found out that he was taking money from Big Pharma. He has since apologized and said, I'm not going to do that again. But I find it so hard to go back and trust a grown man who has lied before and multiple times. But I do think if he is genuine, and if this is this new progressive Cory Booker that we're looking at, if you will, woke Booker, I think he's a decent candidate at best. I don't like the whole, well, in my neighborhood where I live, there's shootings. I grew up like, I don't like that whole thing, and that was one thing I did like, and why I put Castro, as you were talking about before. I put him as a winner too. I think, up until the end, he was the only one who didn't speak Spanish, it seemed like. And didn't talk about, I've got a minority family, and in my neighborhood. No, he came back with some really solid answers on a lot of things. Castro, for me, the only downside I saw with him is his issue with China. Economically, we do have an issue with China as far as the tariffs and whatever, but most of that can be completely written off by increasing our manufacturing on things like wind turbines and things of that nature. So yeah, I mean, I think he's a pretty solid. I'm gonna put him in the winner category for now.
Okay.
If he doesn't change to be more concerned about climate change and things like that, then obviously, like, I don't think Castro would last in.
I don't think so.
No, I think if he gets into the second round debate with the big boys,
do you know what I mean?
Done.
They're like mice. They're not. I mean, okay, you can be cute and pretty, but that can only get you so far. So, I think we should talk. What about Bill de Blasio?
He's another one
Right?
that I will say, for me, I put as a winner. I had a very short list of winners, by the way. That's all my winners: Elizabeth Warren, Tulsi Gabbard, Cory Booker, Castro, and de Blasio. And even though de Blasio was very opinionated and kind of rude, honestly,
he lets you know he's there. Do you know what I mean?
Right, and you know what? To an extent, we need forceful people. And for the most part, aside from the end, or what's the biggest threat to America? And he said Russia. I was like, ugh, like, you jackass.
You had so many things to go with,
everything else
with Russia
that he did. Right, I know. And interfering with our democracy. Like, come on, dude. You're just going for the claps from fucking centralist moron Democrats. But everything else he said, I thought was fairly intriguing and interesting. There again, I don't think he would last with the big boys, but for tonight, I think he was a winner. What was your perspective on de Blasio?
Which I kind of like the upfront, in-your-face type of person. I don't want them for president, but I didn't know much about Booker. Like, I don't, I think I have the people I like, and that's who I focus on. So when he came out, he talked about his dad's suicide. He talked about why this is what he he made it more human, and I think that's the connection that a lot of them need to do to get me to vote for them. I want a connection, and I want to feel that, and I didn't feel that from Little Mice, and I shouldn't call him that. But it
was bad.
I was kind of impressed with him. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of impressed with him today. And I really hadn't heard much from him other than, here he's the New York candidate. Which I should like because I love AOC. But yeah, And he's one of them that I haven't really seen talk much either. But, I've seen Beto talk, and tonight I was like, what the hell?
And he's one of those, like Booker, who, and de Blasio, to his credit, for years, has been running New York. I mean, he's the one who did the whole soda thing that everyone was upset about.
Which I kind of get.
He's been fairly, definitely liberal, but heading towards, I don't know, on the side of corporate America. But lately, and when I say lately, I mean, maybe over the past few years, him and Booker are two of those that have been like, no, we're progressive. Fuck the 1%. Fuck the, and that is, again, what people change. I know when in 2016, me, for instance, I wasn't as upset about the whole Sanders Clinton thing until I kind of looked into it, until I wasn't a strong progressive like I am now. So, can he change? Could he have changed? Sure, of course he could. And if he did, then great, because we need pit bulls like that on the progressive side. No offense to Ilhan Omar and AOC and Rashida Tlaib, but they keep going. If there are leading pit bulls, something's going to happen to those poor ladies, and I don't want to see that happen. We need more, more people coming in to support them and to be attack dogs along with them. And I think that's great. I don't think he's presidential material, but I definitely wouldn't have a problem with him being more, involved in the president's cabinet running in the future. So here's one that I was also really torn on, and I'll get your opinion first. Well, we've completely missed one of them, which is fine.
Yeah.
Because when you were talking about, just being bored to death by Beto, dude, for me, Delaney was that person. Yeah. Every time Delaney opened his mouth, I was like, oh, God damn it. He's talking again.
So, I didn't know he was an actual candidate. And I thought, oh, maybe he's just standing up there support for someone. No, he wasn't.
My wife thought when she was in the other room, she was like, John Mulaney is running for president? Like, no, Delaney. Not Mulaney. Not the comic. I would have voted for him 100%. But, yeah, so we don't even need to he was horrible. He was just boring, nothing to him. But the one, Jay Inslee, who I didn't know much about at all.
I didn't know. What did you think of his answer when they, did they ask about geopolitical problems? What's the biggest? Is that what it was? What is the biggest? What was the question? How did they phrase it? And he responded with, Trump.
Yeah, what's the biggest problem facing America today? And yeah, he said Trump. And at first, I was like, because he had some really good takes on a lot of things throughout the night. And the fact that they didn't focus on Trump, the fact that it almost seemed like, okay, Elizabeth Warren has thrown down the gauntlet, and she said, this is what people fucking want, and you need to jump through this progressive gauntlet to get where I'm at. And every candidate seemed to just get more progressive and more progressive. You had fucking Castro saying, basically, I want open borders, which is crazy, by the way. And, there you go. We'll address that further in a show, but I don't, you could interpret that way, and if you were a Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, you would. The way that it should have been interpreted, it was the way that I think Cory Booker took over. And by the way, before we get off those two, part of me thinks that those two are planning on teaming up together, Castro and Booker. They kept referring to each other, and they kept, kind of patting each other on the back. And it would be a very interesting ticket, a very, very interesting ticket. But no, with Inslee in the Trump comment, it was, the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what, that's actually a really good answer. Because he's right. Who's antagonizing, or who was antagonizing North Korea? Who's antagonizing Iran right now? Who is cutting away with our regulations on our water and air? Who is the biggest threat to these things that are huge threats? Climate change, nuclear war,
I mean, he's
not a big
right.
threat, but a big problem. The issue at the border. Yeah, it's Donald Trump. That's actually a really good answer.
I did. When he said that, I automatically was like, what a douche. And then I was like, well, but is it a douche answer? Do you know what I mean? Because I don't think we think of it, he's just the president. He shouldn't have the... Well, maybe he is the problem. I found that very interesting. And I mean, and he was very blunt about it, and I'll give him that. I mean, he just called it straight home. So yeah, I didn't know much about him. I feel like I should have looked up some information on some of these people, but I didn't, and I fully admit that. I think the big name tonight was the one that was Warren, and that's who I thought everybody would want. But I was really impressed with her. I was impressed with Inslee. I learned things about de Blasio that I didn't think I would like. I do. It was very interesting. How do you feel, Jay, knowing that they had 40 to 60 seconds to answer? I appreciate that they had a certain amount of time, and I think that's how it should be. Do you feel like 40 to 60 seconds was long enough, though?
That one's a hard one for me because I think with some people you don't get to understand their full plan, right? But if you don't limit them, then they can just keep talking in non sequiturs for hours, and they can easily just keep dancing around like Beto did. I mean,
my name is Beto, and I'm from Texas. Hola.
So yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think it's a fair point. I do, and I did like the way though the moderators did allow like Elizabeth Warren and some of the other people who were very passionate about what they had to say, Castro being one. I thought there was a point when Castro was talking about HR 13. I really thought they were going to say, "Hey, can you just fucking stop?" Like everyone is trying to talk and you keep interrupting them. But he was making a really, really good point, and they let him go. They let Warren go. They let them go to finish their point, maybe another extra 5 to 10 seconds. And I think that was good. I think they did it right. I, did have some issues regarding, like on the show today. We did a very, I would say, somber show about the border. And one of the people who I wanted to hear about the issues on the border was Elizabeth Warren.
Yes.
And they never gave her the opportunity to speak on it, and I thought that was a little irritating.
I want to say it's MSNBC on their pre-show. They had video today of Elizabeth Warren, Klobuchar. They had everybody went and visited the Homestead border there, once again that's part of this border wall that I don't understand. That why are you going to build a border around or a wall around freaking Florida? They're surrounded by ocean, but they're at the Homestead, and to see firsthand a lot of these candidates that they've heard about the atrocities, they heard what's going on. Oh no, they actually got to tour it. And in one of the interviews, Elizabeth Warren actually talks about how she was impressed. There was 109 children at the homestead camp today. But she knows last month there was over 700. And she goes, I don't even feel like there's enough room for 100 children. I think 70 children is pushing it. And I was impressed with a lot of the pre-show stuff and about what the candidates were doing, where the candidates went, and exactly how they were feeling. And that's when that really helped push me more towards Warren. I feel like Castro put me to sleep when he said, it was interesting to walk the homestead camp. There were lots of children. They did not seem happy. Do you think?
You know, see, and Castro, for me, at least during the debate, was pretty fiery. Delaney was that guy. But no, and I mean, yeah, I don't. Why the hell they want to put walls around? I mean, they do need to put walls up around Florida, but that's to stop the fucking water. Not the people. But yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I didn't catch any of that, to be honest. I had to kind of, not be political for a good hour and a half, and I was watching Catfish.
Nice.
But
no, I do recommend to our listeners, if you can catch the pregame show, every one of tonight's candidates had about 10 to 15 minutes to speak in front of the cameras about what they witnessed and how they felt. And some of them did not speak, which surprised me. I think de Blasio was one who was very upset, and you could actually see how emotional it was. Elizabeth Warren went crazy. And I know they talk tomorrow morning when they get up. Bernie Sanders wants to be there bright and early. I know Andrew Yang is going to take a tour of Homestead. There's a lot of other things going on in Florida for this that I don't think people are because I had no idea until I turned on the TV because I was ready for it to come on, and a lot of this pre-stuff popped up and I had no idea. They toured Parkland School. I mean, it's amazing what they did, and then for them to go and do this Democratic thing tonight, it had to have been empowering. And I feel like Warren was the only one who really, this hit me hard, this bothered me, I can't believe Parkland, I'm ready to go fight tonight. And I feel like she did. Her and Klobuchar, I was really impressed. I was impressed with Blasio. And I can't wait for tomorrow, because I feel like if those candidates go and spend the day that these candidates did, it could be a fight. I wish there's more fighting tonight. I really do.
I don't think, I think it's hard when everyone's kind of on that same page, and there's certain limits that, especially the progressives and the progressive agenda has pushed the Democratic Party. But I do think tomorrow night will be kind of the big one. I mean, without a doubt.
I think Elizabeth Warren was the main big one tonight, right?
Well, and she was basically playing in the minor leagues, and she obviously deserves to be in the majors. And I think it was definitely a way to see, okay, who can compete on that level. And and I think that's why the winners and losers of tonight are so much actually more important than the winners and losers of tomorrow. I think the only thing that could happen tomorrow is you might see, Beto O'Biden. And yes, I said that right, Beto O'Biden, where Biden just dances around and looks like a complete moron like Beto was tonight. I think that's something that happened. Hopefully no one, being at Yang or Sanders on my, the guys I'm polling for.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't pull a Tim Ryan and say something just completely moronic.
Today I put my pants on with both
I think those are the big things that could happen tomorrow, but we know who's already meant to be there, come the next debates where we're going to weed out a lot of people. We definitely will. And, without a doubt, Warren is going to be the one at the next debates. And it was just kind of interesting to see certain people who might be worming their way into that. I still say it's on my mind, I should say, that Cory Booker, he came off strong. He came off real strong. And same with De Blasio, two people. I can't intrinsically disagree with a lot of what they said because I agreed with a lot of it, and and especially Booker said it in a way that was very passionate, very empowered, and from the place of somebody who has just a lot of authority and who has been there for a long time, but yet still is young enough to have that energy about him. So yeah, tomorrow is going to be.
It's going to be interesting,
Basically,
that's for sure.
Sanders kicking the crap out of everyone in the room, just like we saw Warren tonight, and then watching who kind of scuffles up from there. And I'm really, really interested to see how Yang does. And by the way, I do want to say too, another, watching it, two things that I think, was it not the second best moment of the night? Because I really think, okay, for me. The price of admission being 2 hours of my life was worth it when Gabbard got Tim Ryan to say the Taliban attacked us in 9/11. Without a doubt, that was worth it. But prior to that, when Beto O'Rourke started speaking in Spanish and the look Cory Booker gave him,
it was not...
It was so funny.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I want to say I understand why Beto did that. I am Hispanic. I speak the language. I'm here to help support my people. Okay, stop answering the questions in Spanish. Like,
yeah, like we know that you're actually just doubling your time by saying it in English and then saying the same thing in Spanish. And I think the best part, and I haven't tweeted it, and I've gotten actually a decent amount of love for it, is I captioned it and I said Booker to Beto, you bastards! You said I could answer in Spanish first. And that because then Booker, he started doing the Spanish thing, and I thought that was really, really funny, just that exchange, and even Warren giving him that look like, what are you doing?
Do you think that if they could,
you would say, Warren has gotten all this attention for tonight, but so did Beto.
He really did, and I feel like he wasted it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you think after tonight? Do you think we'll see him at the second?
I don't think so.
Round?
I don't think so. I feel like this. Okay, well, and that's why I even said it. I mean, this was not the Beto I thought he was. But I agree with what you said, that no, this is just who he is. When you go up, it's like he went up against Trump. You're gonna look amazing. You were against freaking Ted Cruz. He lives under a bridge with the other little trolls. You're gonna look amazing no matter what. You're not
debating a guy who wants to outlaw masturbation.
I mean, you can only go... Yeah, you're up against the big dogs now, and these people know things. They study them. They're here for a reason. I think you're there to be cute and pretty, and once you spent the day with Elizabeth Warren, I bet you fell over your head. I know what that feels like.
And I think that was really one of the things. You actually just hit on one thing that I noticed Beto doing a lot during the whole thing, is he, every time a question, or when anyone else was answering a question, he'd look at him, and you got this sense about you that he's like, in his head, oh shit, they actually all had plans.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed by the fact that every one of them did have some, they didn't go as deep, and let's be honest too, we at least I kind of misspoke just a little bit ago when I said, tomorrow's the big, night. Without a doubt, if you're going plan for plan, bill for bill, legislation against legislation, I would be hard pressed to say that Elizabeth Warren is not the best, because Bernie maybe, like those two. I mean, that is the heavyweight, championship, because both of them have these very strong plans. And honestly, I would give the edge to Warren right now because she keeps continuing this, amazing legislation that
But
she
I
wants
mean,
to
she did,
pass.
and
And
she
yeah, and
looked
then you had
wonderful
Beto, who was
tonight.
like,
And it's the same. It's the
you know,
Beto thing. She looked amazing tonight, and I am so impressed. Would she look the same if she was there tomorrow night? Would she look the same up there with which? And I want to say, Biden's not at his best right now, but we know he can perform and act. Put her up there
I,
against Biden, against Bernie, even Andrew Yang, who has been going in front of thousands of people pressing these new ideas. Would she look as good as she did tonight? I mean,
I
she
think
went up
yes,
against
without a
Beto.
doubt.
Do
I
you?
think she could actually school them pretty hard.
I would like to
Because,
see that.
like I say, Bernie's the only one I think that would stand a chance just based on policy. And that's the thing, Biden is as lost as Beto when it comes to policy. He has no policy plans. It's all about charisma and like you were saying before, that personal connection that you need. When it comes to policy, though, and I think that's where Bernie loses people, and I
Yeah.
think to an extent Elizabeth Warren does a little bit too. They are fact-based, policy-driven, um, progressive nightmares for the centralist. And I hope I'm right on this, and I hope that moving forward with debates on this front, we're going to see a lot of candidates show up like they did tonight, and that is, hey, I'm not going to talk about Trump. I'm not talking about Russia. I'm not talking about obstruction of justice. No, I'm going to talk about policy.
Because that's what I
And
want to hear. I know that's what I
yeah,
want.
no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, just that. And that's what we got. And you could see Beto was like, he basically was that kid who has been studying math all night and then realized, oh shit, I got English first. you know? But yeah, anyway, do you have anything more to add?
Not. I don't think so. I mean, it wasn't. I thought it would be a more fightier thing than it was. I was highly impressed with the candidates. I didn't think I was. I was impressed with some I didn't even know anything about. And then I forgot there was a Ryan guy because I really thought he was someone's interpreter. I mean,
You don't remember him from the Clinton campaign?
no, because was he an interpreter
Oh,
then?
huh?
Was he an interpreter then?
No, he was he was the candidate for VP under Hillary.
Was he
And you
really?
wonder, oh, how did she lose?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that's
That makes sense now.
um, no, and I think it was great to see Tulsi Gabbard have her moment. 'Cause she definitely got her political moment tonight.
She did.
Um, but I was also going to say too, the one thing that I know, and I pointed out to my wife as well watching, is I was like, Tulsi looks nervous. She doesn't look to be in her own.
Hmm. You kind of could. You could be onto something. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of noticed that, but I didn't. I mean, once again, and I'm looking on social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. There was a lot of technical issues, and I think some people had it worse
Oh,
than what
tons
I
of.
did. I really
Oh
do,
yeah.
because some people are saying they even they missed the whole second half. Okay, so yeah,
No, I think with Tulsi, I think part of it is her age. She's 38. She's definitely the youngest candidate. Arguably, in some manners, the most progressive. But there was moments where, um, the moderator said, "Who in here is in favor of, basically banning private health care and everything being Medicare for all?" Elizabeth Warren's arm shot up. Bill de Blasio's arm went up, and Gabbard's didn't. And I was watching hers, and I was like, "That's weird." And then when they asked her about that, not about her arm not raising, but just her plan, she was like, "Yeah, that's why I think Medicare for all is the best way to go." It's like, wait, I don't think she was even. I think she was so nervous that she didn't
She didn't really get it.
interact the way they
Yeah.
are. And look, I mean, of course Tulsi has balls. She's fought in the Middle East. She's led men. She's climbed mountains that the majority of us will never climb. But you know what? Also being on national TV and having to debate Elizabeth Warren,
Yeah.
that's got to be a little rough,
I mean, it has to be intimidating, and we know what it's like to be intimidated. I mean, honestly, we've been places where we probably shouldn't have been, and we didn't really fit in, but we still went. Yeah, I bet it was
Oh yeah.
intimidating.
If our listeners want to hear me intimidated and actually just continuously get dumber and dumber throughout the interview, just listen to the Ben Norton one. I can sound like a genius half the time when I'm talking through, just myself. But when I get entangled into a man who fucking, is very knowledgeable in a lot of things, yeah, I go stupid, and you can hear it. But no, I don't think. I think she did well defending her positions. I think she did fantastic, but I just think she was a bit nervous. But yeah, anyway, I think that should probably wrap it up for this coverage. We did about 45 minutes or so. We wanted to keep it short because we're going to be doing this whole thing tomorrow night again.
Yes.
And we want to make sure we can get this up so everyone can hear it as soon as possible, so it stays relevant. But yeah, I just want to remind everybody listening, make sure you tune in Revolution Radio on the YouTube channel. We're always dropping stuff. Give us a like, subscribe, do all that good stuff that we need. We're constantly working, constantly putting out content. So Revolution Radio channel, check us out there for more and more content that keeps coming out. Tanya, I guess tomorrow we shall do this again.
We should. I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm not gonna lie. I want to see the post show or the pre-show. I'm excited to see my angry grandpa talk. I want to hear Yang. I have been impressed with Yang for how many months now, and I really have high hopes for him. So yeah, I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely agree. I'm on the same board you are as far as excitement. Also excited to hear Joe Biden fall on his face. I'll be very excited about that
Do you think
too.
he'll fall off stage?
So,
you know how fucking goofy he gets? Like, what if he just fell off stage?
oh God, that'd be great if he pulled a Kelsey Grammer. That would be so great. Oh God.
Right?
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Tanya, thank you for doing this with me. We will do this tomorrow.
All right, and that's it.